In the previous video we covered how Mendel discovered the laws of inheritance by doing breeding experiments. In this video we will talk about situations where traits show different patterns of inheritance than what Mendel observed. In the early 1900s, scientists discovered the ABO blood group series. People with different blood types have different antigens on the surface of their red blood cells. An antigen is a molecule which stimulates the production of proteins called antibodies by the immune system. If blood-containing antigens is transferred to someone who does not share those same antigens, the recipient's immune system can recognize the transferred blood as foreign and produce antibodies against it. This is why care must be taken during blood transfusions to make sure the recipient is able to safely receive the donor's blood. In the case of the ABO blood groups, the antigens are sugar molecules. If people are in group A, they have the A antigen, and if they are in group B, they have the B antigen. People in group AB have both A and B antigens, while people in group O don't have the A or B antigens. Different combinations of the three alleles shown here determine which of these four blood groups you belong to. People with this allele express the A antigen, while people with this other allele express the B antigen. Both of these alleles are dominant to this third allele, which does not cause the expression of either antigen. Lastly, people who inherit both of these alleles express both the A and the B antigens. This is an example of codominance where both alleles are expressed phenotypically. This is different to what Mendel observed, where only one allele was expressed phenotypically. Another example of codominance that can be observed more easily is the roan cow, which has alleles for both red and white hair. An important thing to remember is that with codominance the two traits are not blended together. The roan cow has both red and white hair, but it does not have pink hair. You can also have incomplete dominance where the two traits are blended together. A good example of incomplete dominance is snapdragons, where if you cross a red snapdragon with a white snapdragon, the resulting heterozygotes are pink. Another exception to the results that Mendel observed is that sometimes not all the individuals who have a particular genotype display the phenotype associated with it. Individuals with the same genotype can also express that genotype to different degrees in the phenotype. The percentage of individuals that have a particular genotype who display the associated phenotype is known as that genotype's penetrance. For example, if a genotype is associated with dark fur but only 70% of the individuals who have that genotype have dark fur, it means there is 70% penetrance. The degree to which a genotype is expressed in the phenotype is known as expressivity. Some genotypes can show both incomplete penetrance and variable expressivity. Another important pattern of inheritance is the phenomenon of sex-linked traits. One of the first sex-linked traits ever discovered was found by Thomas Hunt Morgan by studying the fruit fly Drosophila melanogaster. Most fruit flies have red eyes, but Morgan found one that had a mutation giving it white eyes. Fruit flies normally contain 4 pairs of chromosomes, including 1 pair of sex chromosomes and 3 pairs of autosomes. In fruit flies, sex is determined by the ratio of the number of X chromosomes to the number of sets of autosomes, unlike in humans where sex is determined by the presence or absence of a Y chromosome. Normally male fruit flies have 1 X chromosome and females have 2. Because males only have 1 copy of the genes on the X chromosome, those genes are said to be hemizygous. Morgan crossed the white-eyed fly he had found, which was male, with a red-eyed female. All the offspring of this cross were red-eyed. Morgan concluded from this that the white-eyed trait was recessive, so he allowed the offspring to breed with each other to create the F2 generation. Some of the flies in the F2 generation were white-eyed, as would be expected from a recessive trait. Morgan also observed that all the white-eyed flies in the F2 generation were males, and he proposed that based on this pattern of inheritance that the gene associated with the white-eyed phenotype is located on the X chromosome. The reason why none of the females had white eyes is that females inherit 1 X chromosome from each parent, and the white-eyed allele was recessive. If a female inherited a white-eyed allele from one parent, then it would still have red eyes because it inherited a dominant red-eyed allele from the other parent. The only way that a female fruit fly would have white eyes is if it inherited 1 copy of the mutation from each parent. On the other hand, a male fruit fly would only have to inherit 1 copy of the mutation from its mother to have white eyes. Let's try some practice problems. A woman of blood group AB marries a man of group A whose father was of group O. The woman is in blood group AB, so she must have this genotype. The man is in group A, so he must have an A allele. The man's father was in group O, so he must have had two O alleles and passed one of them to his son, giving the man this genotype. In part A of this question we have to work out the probability of both their children being in blood group A. We can do a Punnett square to work out the chance of their first child being in group A. The chance of the second child being in group A will be the same as the first child. In the top left box, the child will inherit an A allele from the father and a B allele from the mother, and so will be in blood group AB. In the top right box, the child will get a B allele from the mother and an O allele from the father, and so will be in group B. In the bottom left box, the child will get an A allele from both parents, and so will be in group A. In the bottom right box, the child will get an A allele from the mother and an O allele from the father, and so they will also be in group A. In 2 out of the 4 boxes the child is in group A, so the probability of the couple's first child being in group A is 50%, and so is the chance of their second child being in group A. Therefore the probability of both their children being in group A is 1/2 times 1/2, or 1/4. In part B we have to work out the chances of one of their children being in group B and the other child being in group O. As we can see from our Punnett square, the couple cannot have a child who is in blood group O, so the answer to our question is 0. In part C we have to work out the probability of their first child being a son in blood group AB and their second child being a son in group B. The chance of their first child being a son is approximately 1/2, and so is the chance of their second child being a son. We can see from our Punnett square that the chance of the first child being in group AB is 1/4. The chance of the second child being in group B is also 1/4. So the answer to our question is 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/4 times 1/4. This equals 1 in 64. In this next question we are mating 2 roan cattle that each have one red allele and one white allele, which are codominant. We have to work out what proportion of the offspring of this cross will resemble their parents in coat color. Let's do a Punnett square. When we fill in our Punnett square we find that 1/4 of the progeny will be red, 1/2 will be roan, and 1/4 will be white. Therefore the answer to our question is 1/2. Let's do one more. In this question a woman with normal vision marries a man who also has normal vision. Both of their fathers were color blind. We have to work out what proportion of their offspring will be color blind. First we need to work out the genotypes of the couple. In humans, women receive one X chromosome from each parent, while men receive an X chromosome from their mother and a Y chromosome from their father. Since the man has normal vision, he must have inherited a wild-type allele from his mother. The term wild-type allele refers to the most common allele and is indicated with a plus sign. The man also got a Y chromosome from his father, but since the gene is on the X chromosome we can ignore the Y chromosome. Since women inherit one X chromosome from their father and men only have one X chromosome, the woman in this question must have inherited a mutant allele from her father, since her father was color blind. Since she has normal vision, she must have inherited a wild-type allele from her mother. Now that we have worked out the genotypes of the couple, we can do a Punnett square to work out the genotypes of their offspring. In the top left box, the child will get a wild-type allele from their father and a mutant allele from their mother. Since the child inherited 2 X chromosomes, it will be a girl. In the top right box, the child will get a mutant allele from their mother and a Y chromosome from their father. Since the child has a Y chromosome, the child will be a boy. In the bottom left box, the child will inherit a wild-type allele from each parent and will be a girl. In the bottom right box, the child will inherit a wild-type allele from their mother and a Y chromosome from their father and will be a boy. Since the mutant allele is recessive to the wild-type allele, all the couple's daughters will have normal vision, even though half of them will inherit one copy of the mutant allele. Half the couple's sons will inherit a mutant allele and will be color blind, and the other half will inherit a wild-type allele and will have normal vision. Thanks for watching.